When it comes to the ADI Part 3 and ADI Standards Check Test, one of the big problems people have is the combination of fault identification and analysis. And what we're going to do in the first video in a series for what is known as Fault Analysis Workshop, we're going to give you the potential faults, possible faults, and how we would analyze them. Then all we have to do is think, well, how do I fix this? Now, to help you with this, we've got a link in the description below to the website where you can download our free analysis worksheet. If I show you that, we'll go through this in a moment. So you've got two parts to it. One is for individual faults. The second one, this one, is where you can write down different faults in the same section, which I'll explain in a minute. So for instance, mirrors, you can write down the possible faults and what is the risk or the danger. So this is the analysis. So the link for that will be in the description below. It's on the website, it's free to download, so feel free to go and print some off and then we can fill them in as we go through. When it comes to accurate fault analysis on the ADI Part 3 and ADI Standards Check, before you can even start that, you have to have an accurate fault identification, and that's very often what causes the problem. So although we think of it as two separate things, fault identification and analysis, they're actually combined, because if you get the wrong fault identification, you're not going to be able to analyze what the problem really was. So the driving instructor, first of all, needs to be able to do accurate fault identification to be able to accurately analyze the fault. So the best way of being accurate in fault identification is by using the acronym MSPSG if you're in a manual, and L. Mirrors, signal, position, speed, gears, and look. Now, if you get used to using that, not only for the ADI Part 3, not only for the ADI Standards Check, but also for the ADI Part 2 and the driving test, your driving is going to not only improve 100%, but your ability to spot faults for the Part 3, the Standards Check, that will improve. So for instance, when I'm going to turn left, first thing I should do is mirrors, center and left. Then signal. My position should be correct. My speed should be under 20. If I'm in a manual, I should gears, means I go into second gear, bring the clutch up, then I look for where the point of turn is, I look into the road to see if it's clear, and I follow it round. So if you use MSPSGL, if you're in an automatic, MSPSGL, if you're in a manual, you're not going to go far wrong. The key then is watching the pupils. So you want to sit there like you're marking an invisible check sheet. So you would be driving and go, as soon as you know you want them to take the next road on the left, you would then look at them and go, okay, Chris, I'd like you to take the next road on the left, please. Mirrors, have they done center and left? Tick. Have they done the signal? No. There's your fault. So MSPSL, MSPSGL will just help you, but more importantly, it will mean your ability to analyze and do fault analysis just expands beyond belief. So what we're going to do is give you a few examples of that. And today's video, as we've said, we're going to run through mirror, signal, position, speed, gears, and look. We're going to identify the fault, and then we're going to think, well, what's the analysis of that? So let's start off with the mirrors. Let me show you a common fault. I'm the pupil driving down the road. The instructor says, okay, Chris, I'd like you to take the next road on the left. So you think, right, mirrors, then signal. Now, very often the instructor, the trainee, will say, there, Chris, you didn't check your mirrors. Is that true? You need to check your mirrors before you signal. Was that the fault? No. There, Chris, the fault is, get used to the phrasing. The fault there is, the reason it's wrong is, the way we fix it is. So that everything we do starts off with the problem there, Chris, was, the fault there, Chris, was, then the analysis, then the remedy. So there, Chris, the fault was, you checked the left mirror, but you didn't check the center mirror. That's the fault. So we've got to be accurate with what we say. And we're going to think of potential faults and then analyze them. Going down the road, and you say to the pupil, okay, Chris, I'd like you to take the next road on the left. What's the fault? So what's the analysis of that? We can ask via questions, but we've got to know or be able to explain it ourselves first. Because if they go, I don't know, I can't think offhand, you've got to be able to give them the answer. So there, Chris, the fault is you didn't check the mirrors. The reason it's wrong is we've got no idea how close anybody is behind us. So if we've got a lorry or a bus less than a meter behind us, the last thing they're expecting us to do is hit the brake, put the signal on and turn. So if you can look in the mirror and go, well, actually, I've got a vehicle close, perhaps I can come off the gas a bit earlier, perhaps I can slow down a bit earlier. Anything to get that vehicle behind to back off slightly. Or if I'm checking that left mirror, I can see if there's an e-bike, an e-scooter, a moped coming down the side of me. If there is, I might decide I can't do the turn. I may have to give way to them because with the new highway code rules, it's up to me to give way to anything coming down the side or approaching on that side. But without those mirrors, Chris, I'm not going to know a thing. Can you see that's all analysis is? So can you think why, Chris, we need to check? And they might give you one answer. Well, I need to know what's behind me. Which is correct, but in what regards? Do they understand that if there is a vehicle close, you can come off the gas, you can signal as long as it's safe to a little bit earlier? Do they know that? Or are they just going, I'm just looking? Yeah, but what if there is? What if there is a vehicle coming down the side of us? What if there is a car trying to undertake us? What do we do then? So you can ask questions. Who, what, why, where, when, how. Help them understand it. We're driving down the road. You say to the pupil, I'd like you to take the next road on the left, Chris. What's the fault? You only checked the center mirror. What's the problem with that? Don't know. Well, if there's anything coming down the side of us, what field of view do we have? Where does that show us, that mirror? Oh, behind us. So will we see a car or a bike, a moped on the left? No. So can you see why we need to check it? What would happen then if we turned? Oh, yes. We'd hit it and it would be my fault, wouldn't it? Yes. So can you see, this is all analysis is. Number 3. We're driving down the road. You say to the pupil, I'd like you to take the next road on the left, please, Chris. What's the fault? Now there, Chris, the problem is we came to turn left and you only checked the left mirror. Do you know what the problem with that is? No? Because if there's anything there, I'm going to see it. So why would it be a problem? Well, can you remember back to when we did about the mirrors? What's the difference in glass between the centre mirror and the left mirror? Can you remember? Oh, that one's flat glass, so it gives a more accurate picture, and that one's convex glass, so it makes things look smaller and further away. Very good. Can you see the point I'm making? No. If that one makes things look further away and you're only using that mirror, you're right, you will see anything coming up at the side of us, but what will you think? Oh, I'm going to think it's further away than it actually is. Yeah. So you're going to look and go, oh yeah, he's miles away, I can turn. Next thing we hear is the bang as it goes in the side of the car. Whose fault then is that? Mine. So if we use our centre mirror, we can see the vehicle coming up from behind and think, wow, he's coming up quick. Is he going to go up the side of me? Then we can use the left mirror and go, actually he is. So I'm either not going to do the turn or I'm going to wait for him to go past. Number 4. You're driving down the road. You say to the pupil, I'd like you to take the next road on the left, please. What's the fault? There, Chris, the fault was you didn't check the mirrors till the last second. Can you think of what the problem is with that? No? Well, again, if we've got a lorry or a bus less than a metre behind us, what aren't they expecting us to do at that turn? Oh, go into it. Yeah. Because if we're following a car in front of us and they put their indicator on, what do we naturally do? Oh, we back away from them. Yeah. We start to slow down, don't we? Give them room. But if they don't have a signal on, what aren't we expecting them to do? Oh, to slow down and turn. Yeah. Now also in front, the pedestrians walking up, if they're going to cross the road, they'll turn round, see us with no signal on, thinking, well, they're quite close, but they've got no signal on at that point. What will they think we're going to do? They're going to think we're just going to drive down the road. Yeah. See, can you see that signalling in a good enough time that it doesn't cause confusion, but also we're not leaving it till the last second? Will that help other drivers and road users? Yes. Very good. Number 5. I'd like you to take the next road on the left, please, Chris. What's the fault? So there, Chris, your fault was you checked the centre and the right mirror. You didn't check the left mirror. Now, the trouble with that is we're not going to see any vehicles, any bikes, scooters coming up the inside. But let me throw in a curveball. To check the center and right mirror first when we're turning left may not always be an actual fault. Yes, if they check the center and right one but don't check the left one, that would be a fault. But if they check the center and the right one and then check the left one, in particular situations, that actually wouldn't be a fault. So if you're in busy city traffic, heavy traffic, and in the center mirror you can see a bike, an e-bike, a scooter coming up to go around you, and there's a junction coming up, you can think, well, what if he's trying to filter past me to turn left? With the changes in the highway code, that now is something we do actually need to think about. So if we saw, as we said, bike, scooter, e-bike, e-scooter, and they're going round us, it's a natural thing to check the center mirror, check the right mirror to see, is he carrying on going or is he just staying at the side of me? And then check the left mirror just to double check. Now there's nothing coming up that side either, because it could even be that they're having a bit of a race with one another and you've got one going round the right, one on the left. It's always what if. So to check the center and right mirror might not always be a fault if they then check the left mirror before the turn. But yes, if they check the center mirror and the right mirror and didn't check the left mirror, or you could just see the road was empty behind, and if they've been checking their mirrors regularly like they should, there's no need to check that right mirror. So center and left, and the analysis, as we've said, so we can see any vehicles potentially coming up the side. Perhaps some have been on the pavement, some of these hoverboards that you can stand on and you can just ride on the pavement, jump in the road, get back on the pavement again. Things like that. Is anything coming up the inside of us before then we decide whether we're going to turn or not? Remember, look, assess, decide, and act. Number 6. So we're driving down the road. You say to the pupil, I'd like you to take the next road on the left, please, Chris. What's the fault? So there, Chris, we're coming up to the turn and you're constantly checking those mirrors. I mean, to the point you're over-checking them. Remember, we need to look and assess what's in the mirrors. If we're doing that like crazy, are we looking for the point of turn? Are we looking if there are any pedestrians crossing the road? Oh, no. So you're worried about the vehicle behind. I'd be more worried about what's in front of you. Remember, the vehicles behind can drive. Let them deal with it. They just need you to do what you need to do. Because by the time we checked all those mirrors 5-6 times, we hadn't put a signal on, we ended up turning late, and we almost went so far wide we crossed the centre line. So just check them once, possibly again just before the turn if you're in doubt. But look, assess, then decide. And don't worry about the cars behind. Oh, okay. The amount of times for all of those variations, trainees or instructors on the standards check will say, you didn't check your mirrors. That's not right. Well, it was for one of them, but for the other 5 it wasn't. So can you see, we need accurate fault identification to stand any chance of being able to analyze what the fault actually is. The final one that people do, they've got the thing that they'll just do that, go center left, as they're driving. I move my eyes. Why is that a problem though, Chris? Let's analyze this. Don't know, because I'm looking in both mirrors. Well, if I hold my hand up there and you look straight ahead and just glance sideways, can you see my hand? Not properly, no, if I'm being honest. Can you see how many fingers I'm holding up? From here, no. And that's the problem, Chris. You see, if people are talking to me, Chris, and they're just looking at the side of their eye, first thing you say quite naturally is, will you look at me when you're talking to me? Because if we're not looking, people know we're not paying full attention. You have to look in that left mirror and think, do I have an e-bike, an e-scooter, a moped coming up? How fast is he coming up? Because that mirror gives me a false sense of where he actually is. Do I have enough time to turn? Is it better to slow down, let him go past? Is it better to just not turn at all? And if you're doing that at the side of your eye, mate, you can't do that. You need to look, assess, then decide. It doesn't say glance or flick your eyes and assess. It says look. So we need to make sure in both before we decide what we're going to do. Because if we get that assessment wrong and we turn into their path, ultimately, Chris, whose fault is that? What can be the potential outcomes of turning at the wrong time? So that is just what analysis is. But you have to be accurate with the fault before you go into the analysis. Because to say to me, there, Chris, you didn't check your mirrors, you need to make sure what's coming, or you need to make sure what's behind you, makes no sense, does it? It's so vague, it doesn't mean a thing. But doing it the way we've just done it does make sense. They understand it a lot more, and therefore we can then give the remedy when we're going around and doing it. Okay, Chris, so we're going to take the next road on the left. Remember, not just that left mirror, check the center one first and actually look in that one. Is it clear? Let's go and turn then. You see, that's all it becomes. So this is the first one in our series, MSPSGL. We hope it's helped. If it has, leave us a comment, let us know. We'll carry on in the other videos with signal, position, speed, gears, and look. So my name's Chris from Driver Training. Remember, teach well, drive safely, and we'll see you all again in our next video.